All right, ready to dive in. We're tackling cryptocurrency and blockchain today.
Oh, yeah. Always a hot topic.
You've given us some really interesting sources, articles about the pros and cons, how blockchain works, and even a peek into how this stuff could change, like way more than just finance.
Yeah, it really could. Definitely a lot to unpack there.
Totally. It seems like you want to really understand the whole picture, like what is it, how does it affect you, and where is it all headed?
Those are the big questions for sure.
Exactly. We're going to break it all down and highlight those aha moments where this complex world suddenly clicks.
I love those moments.
Me too. Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly is cryptocurrency? Like, can we get a clear definition? No jargon.
Okay, so think of it like digital money, but with this extra layer of security because of something called cryptography.
Yeah.
Basically, it's meant to be used just like regular money, but it only exists online.
Okay, digital money, got it. But how is that different from like using my credit card online? I mean, I already do that all the time.
Right. But with crypto, it's all about who's in control.
Hmm.
Cryptocurrencies operate completely independently of banks or governments.
Oh, interesting.
They use something called blockchain technology to track transactions and make sure everything's secure. So that cuts out the middleman.
Ah, blockchain. That's the other big word everyone keeps talking about. We'll definitely have to get to that.
Absolutely.
But let's stick with cryptocurrency for now. So is Bitcoin the same thing? Or,
Think of Bitcoin like I don't know, maybe the Kleenex of crypto.
okay, I like that.
It was the first one on the scene, and it's still the most well-known. But there are actually thousands of other cryptocurrencies out there. It's a whole universe of digital currencies.
A whole universe.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. But what about here in India? One of our sources, Forbes Advisor India, mentioned that cryptocurrencies are unregulated here. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a really important point. In India, the government hasn't laid down specific rules for cryptocurrencies.
So they're not really endorsing it.
Exactly. And they're exploring this idea of a digital rupee, which would be controlled by the Reserve Bank of India.
Ah, so a government-backed digital currency.
Yeah, but they haven't really endorsed the cryptocurrencies that are already out there. So legally, it's still a bit of a gray area in India.
Proceed with caution. I got it. But let's say, hypothetically, I'm interested in learning more. What's the big appeal? What are the advantages of cryptocurrency that are making people so excited?
Well, there are a lot of people who see it as a solution to some of the issues we have with traditional money. Forbes Advisor India laid out some key advantages, like protection against inflation, faster and cheaper transactions, and the big one, decentralization.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Let's unpack those a bit. Starting with inflation protection, how exactly does cryptocurrency help protect my money, so it doesn't lose its value?
Right, so with traditional currencies, it's all about government policies and the state of the economy, which means inflation can really chip away at your savings over time. But a lot of cryptocurrencies have a limited supply built in. Bitcoin, for example, will only ever have 21 million coins.
Oh, wow.
So as the demand goes up and that supply stays fixed, the value should theoretically increase.
So it's like digital gold,
Right.
where, that scarcity equals value.
Exactly. That's the idea anyway, though it's not guaranteed, of course.
Right.
The market still ultimately decides the price. It's important to keep in mind that with any kind of investment, really.
No get-rich-quick schemes here. Got it. What about the speed and cost of those transactions? How does crypto stack up against traditional banking?
Okay, well, think about how long it takes to do an international bank transfer. It can take days, right?
Yeah.
And the fees. Ouch. Cryptocurrency transactions can happen way faster,
Yeah.
sometimes in minutes, and with way lower fees.
Okay, so that sounds really appealing, especially if you're sending money overseas. No more waiting for days or paying those crazy fees.
Exactly. Those savings are huge, especially for international transactions.
Yeah.
That's a big draw for a lot of people.
Makes sense. You also mentioned decentralization. We touched upon this a little earlier, but can you explain why that's such a good thing?
Sure. So basically, decentralization just means that no single entity is in control. Cryptocurrencies aren't controlled by any government or any bank. They run on this big distributed network spread across tons of computers. And this can lead to something called financial inclusion.
Financial inclusion.
Yeah, which basically means that more people have access to financial services.
Yeah.
It gives people more control over their own money.
So it's empowering for individuals.
Absolutely. It shifts the power dynamic away from these big institutions and puts more of it back into the hands of the people.
Now that's a revolution I can get behind.
Yeah.
Okay, what about accessibility? You mentioned that as a benefit too.
Yeah, so think about opening a bank account. There are credit checks and paperwork. It's a whole process. With cryptocurrency, All you need is an internet connection to open a digital wallet. No hoops to jump through.
Wow, that's amazing. It really levels the playing field.
Exactly. It opens up the world of finance to people who maybe haven't had access to traditional banking.
I love that. And finally, transparency. How does cryptocurrency make things more transparent?
Okay, so with crypto, every single transaction is recorded on this public ledger called a blockchain, which literally anyone can access.
So anyone can see it.
Yep. It creates this level of transparency you just don't get with traditional finances. You can track exactly where money's going and see the history of transactions, which promotes accountability and helps build trust.
It's like a public record of every single transaction.
Yeah, essentially. Although it's important to point out that these transactions are what we call pseudonymous, meaning they're not directly linked to your real identity.
Right.
Yes, they can be tracked on the blockchain. It creates a complete audit trail that's open for everyone to see.
So we've got protection against inflation, speed, low cost, decentralization, accessibility, and transparency. It seems like cryptocurrency has a lot going for it.
Yeah, there are definitely some really compelling arguments for it.
But I have a feeling there's another side to this story, right?
Oh, absolutely. Cryptocurrency isn't perfect.
Okay, so let's flip the coin. What are the disadvantages that we need to be aware of?
Well, our sources, especially Forbes Advisor India and NerdWallet, point out a few key concerns. Volatility, security concerns, the environmental impact, and all the uncertainty around regulations.
Okay, let's break those down, starting with volatility. Why are cryptocurrency prices so up and down?
It's a few things, really. Market sentiment, what's happening in the news, any kind of regulatory changes, even a single tweet can send prices through the roof or crashing down. This volatility can mean big profits if you time it right, but it's also incredibly risky.
Yeah, so not exactly a safe bet, more like a roller coaster ride.
Pretty much.
What about the security concerns? I thought blockchain was supposed to be super secure.
So blockchain itself is incredibly secure. The issue is that the security of cryptocurrency goes beyond just the blockchain. You have these exchanges where you're buying and selling crypto, and then you have these wallets where you're storing it. And those can be vulnerable to hacks or scams or theft.
So it's like having this really secure vault, but the keys to that vault could be left out in the open.
That's a really good analogy. So choosing reputable exchanges and having safe storage methods are absolutely essential to protecting your investment. Remember the case of Celsius.
Celsius.
Yeah, as a cryptocurrency lending platform that went bankrupt last year in 2022, our source from the UK Financial Conduct Authority talked about how many investors lost a lot of money in that. It just highlights that there are real risks involved if things go wrong.
Oof, that's a stark reminder. Okay, what about the environmental impact? I've heard that some cryptocurrencies use a ton of energy.
That's true. Some cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, rely on a process called mining.
Right.
Yeah, it involves massive amounts of computer power to solve really complex math problems. This process uses a ton of energy, and that's raised some serious concerns about the carbon footprint of some of these cryptocurrencies.
So not exactly eco-friendly?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
It's a really legitimate concern, and the industry is trying to come up with more sustainable solutions, but there's still a long way to go.
Hopefully they figure that out sooner rather than later. Finally, regulatory uncertainty. You mentioned how cryptocurrencies are basically unregulated here in India. How does that lack of clear rules pose a challenge for investors?
It just creates this cloud of ambiguity. The legal and tax implications are still evolving in a lot of countries.
Oh, I see.
And without clear guidelines, it can be really difficult for people and businesses to navigate this world with confidence. It also makes it easier for scams and fraud to happen because there isn't as much oversight.
So it's a bit like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, kind of. Exciting, but also potentially very dangerous.
So we've got the appeal of cryptocurrency, the speed of transactions, the low costs, that idea of decentralization, the accessibility, the transparency. But then there's the other side, the volatility, the security risks, the impact on the environment, and all the uncertainty around the regulations. It seems like a lot to weigh before diving in.
You've summed it up perfectly. Knowledge is key here. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Understanding the rewards, but also the risks, is so important before making any decisions.
Absolutely. Now, I know we've been sort of dancing around this other big word, blockchain. We know that it's the technology behind cryptocurrency, but can you break it down for us? Like, what exactly is it and how does it work?
So imagine a giant digital spreadsheet that's keeping track of every single transaction made on the network. That's blockchain in a nutshell.
Okay, I'm picturing this massive spreadsheet. So what makes this blockchain ledger different from any other digital record-keeping system?
What makes blockchain really special, and the reason it's so secure, is its decentralized nature. So instead of storing information on one server, which is super vulnerable to hacks, a blockchain is spread across tons of computers, called nodes, in a network. And each node has a copy of the entire ledger, which makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to tamper with it.
So it's like having a backup of the data, but everywhere. Sounds pretty tamper-proof.
Exactly. That's one of the key features that makes blockchain so revolutionary.
Our sources, Blockchain 101 and the Starleaf blog, use the analogy of a digital ledger. Can we break down how this ledger actually works in practice?
Sure. So let's say you wanted to send some Bitcoin to a friend. That transaction gets broadcast to every computer on the blockchain network. And those computers, those nodes, verify the transaction and then add it to a block.
A block.
Yes, a block of other transactions. So it's like a group of transactions.
So it's like a team of accountants double-checking every entry before it gets added to the ledger.
Exactly. And once that block is full, it's chained to the previous block. And that creates this permanent, tamper-proof record of every transaction. That's where the name blockchain comes from.
Oh, okay. So we've got this chain of blocks, all verified and linked together. But what's stopping someone from going back and changing the information in one of those older blocks?
That's where cryptography comes in. So each block has this unique hash, which is kind of like a digital fingerprint. And that hash is based on all the information in the block.
Okay.
So if even a tiny detail is changed, the hash is going to change, which breaks the chain and basically invalidates that entire ledger.
So it's like a domino effect. Changing one block topples the whole thing.
Yep, and that's what we call immutability. It basically
Yeah.
guarantees that the data is accurate. It builds trust in the system.
So we've got decentralization and immutability. What else makes blockchain so special?
Transparency is another big one. So blockchain is a public ledger. Anyone can view the transactions recorded on it. This helps prevent fraud. It's easy to track where assets are going and make sure all the transactions are legit.
So it's kind of like this public audit trail for every single transaction.
Exactly. That transparency is one of the big reasons why blockchain is being explored for so many other applications, way beyond just cryptocurrency.
Speaking of which, let's move beyond finance for a second. Our sources mention some interesting uses for blockchain across industries. What are some of the most exciting ones?
Oh, honestly, the possibilities are almost endless.
Wow.
We're just scratching the surface, really. Our sources, like that Starleaf blog, the Blockchain 101 article, and the IMD online program piece, they all highlight some really interesting examples like supply chain management, healthcare, voting systems, even legal documents, and smart contracts.
Whoa, okay. That's a pretty diverse range of applications. Let's start with supply chain management. How can blockchain improve the way we track goods?
Okay, so imagine being able to follow a product's journey from the moment it's made to the moment it arrives at your door.
Okay.
And every single step is documented and verified on the blockchain. That's what blockchain can do for supply chains.
It's amazing.
It can help ensure that a product's authentic, reduce counterfeiting, and just make the whole system more efficient and transparent.
So it's like giving each product its own digital passport with the complete history that you can trust.
Exactly. And that's super valuable for industries like food, pharmaceuticals, and luxury goods, where authenticity is key.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What about healthcare? How can blockchain change the way we manage and secure patient records?
Okay, think about it. Blockchain can be used to make this secure system for storing all this sensitive medical information. Patients would have way more control over their records, who has access to them, and all of that. It could also streamline things like insurance claims and medical billing, making healthcare more efficient and patient-friendly.
So like a digital vault for your medical records where you, the patient, hold the key?
Exactly. It puts the power back in the hands of the patient.
That's a game changer for privacy. What about voting systems? How can blockchain make our elections more secure and transparent?
So a voting system that uses blockchain could create a tamper-proof record of votes, which would make it way harder to commit voter fraud. The results would be more accurate and really reflect what the people want.
So it's like this digital ballot box that's impossible to rig. Sign me up.
It could be a really powerful way to strengthen democracy and give people more faith in elections.
That's something we could all use a little more of these days. Finally, what about legal documents and smart contracts? How could blockchain impact the legal field?
Okay, imagine a world where all legal documents, Like contracts, property deeds, everything are stored securely and tamper-proof on a blockchain.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got these things called smart contracts.
Mm.
Basically, they're self-executing contracts that are coded right onto the blockchain. This would cut out the need for all those intermediaries and make legal processes way more streamlined. Plus, it would reduce the risk of disputes.
So it's like a digital notary public available 24/7 that's totally impartial.
You got it. And this could be a game changer, especially for international agreements where building trust and enforcing things can get complicated.
Wow. Okay. Those are some seriously impressive applications for blockchain. It seems like this technology has the potential to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives and the way we interact with each other.
Absolutely. And we're really just starting to see what it can do.
It feels like we're witnessing the beginning of something huge. But let's bring it back to our listener who might be thinking, okay, this is all super interesting, but what does this mean for me? Should I be investing in cryptocurrency? And if so, how do I do it safely? What guidance can we offer?
Those are all great questions. And honestly, the answer is to approach cryptocurrency with a balanced and informed perspective. The NerdWallet article had some great insights and tips for anyone thinking about dipping their toes into the crypto waters.
Great. Well, let's dive into those insights in our next segment. This is going to get really interesting. Stay tuned as we continue to unpack the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain and learn how you can navigate this complex but exciting world responsibly.
So thinking about investing in cryptocurrency can be really exciting.
It is, but all the volatility we talked about makes me nervous.
I get it. It's definitely a wild ride.
Yeah, like, is it even investing? Or more like gambling?
Well, the NerdWallet article really emphasized that cryptocurrency should only be a small part of a diversified portfolio.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Cryptocurrency can have massive rewards, but the risks are big too.
That makes sense.
It's all about balancing it out with those more stable investments.
So, okay, let's say I'm ready to take a chance, allocate a small amount. What are some tips for doing it safely?
The first thing is research. Don't just jump on the bandwagon of the hottest new coin. Really take the time to understand the tech behind it.
The fundamentals.
Yeah, the team behind the project and what problems they're trying to solve. Look for those cryptocurrencies that have a track record.
So don't let emotions drive decisions.
Exactly. Or FOMO, that fear of missing out. That's a recipe for disaster.
Research check. What's next?
Choosing a reputable exchange. That's where you'll buy and sell the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
So do your homework and choose those platforms that are known for security and reliability. The ones that have been around a while, have good security measures in place and are upfront about their fees.
Don't just pick the first one on Google.
Nope. Security and trustworthiness should be your top priorities when picking an exchange.
Got it. Reputable exchange, check. Any tips for actually buying the cryptocurrency itself?
Absolutely. Start small. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Makes sense.
Remember, the value can change drastically, so dip your toes in before jumping in head first.
Testing the waters. Good advice. Okay, so I've got some crypto. Now what? Where do I keep it safe?
You'll need a cryptocurrency wallet.
A wallet.
Yeah, it's a digital storage solution for your crypto. There are different types like software wallets, hardware wallets, even paper wallets.
A paper wallet.
Yeah. They each have pros and cons when it comes to security and convenience.
So many options. How do I choose the right wallet?
It depends on your needs and how much risk you're comfortable with. If you're new to crypto and just have a small amount, a software wallet on your phone or computer might be enough. But if you have a lot and you're really concerned about security, then a hardware wallet, which stores your keys offline, that offers way more protection.
So it's choosing between a regular wallet and a safe deposit box.
Exactly. You need to find that balance between security and being able to easily access your crypto.
Wallet, check. Any other crucial advice for a newbie like me?
Remember the golden rule. Diversify. Just like with any other investment, you don't want to put everything in one place.
Right.
Spread your investment across multiple cryptocurrencies to manage your risk. If one takes a hit, the others can cushion the blow.
Diversification, always the golden rule.
Exactly. It's about maximizing your chances of success over the long term.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot more confident now. Research, reputable exchanges, start small, secure wallets, diversify. Got it. But what about the bigger picture? Is this a fad or is cryptocurrency here to stay?
That is the million-dollar question.
Hmm.
And honestly, I don't have a crystal ball,
Right.
but we can definitely look at what the experts are saying.
Right. Our sources must have some predictions for the future.
They do. That Simple Learn article mentioned some pretty interesting ones, like Huge names like Bill Gates and Richard Branson believe in it. They think it's here to stay and could totally revolutionize finance. But then there are people like Warren Buffett and Paul Krugman, and they're more skeptical. They see it as this speculative bubble or even a tool for criminal activity.
So a lot of differing opinions.
Definitely. It just shows how uncertain things are.
What factors could influence the future of cryptocurrency?
One thing the article pointed out is that tension between government regulation and the desire for anonymity. Governments are trying to figure out how to regulate this as it gets more mainstream. That could bring some stability to the market, but also stifle innovation.
Ah,
It goes against that whole idea of decentralization, which is so appealing to many people.
it's about finding that balance between control and freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Tech,
technology.
as blockchain technology advances, we'll see faster transactions, more users. That could have a huge impact on how widely it's adopted.
So it's more than just the money, it's the tech itself.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's what makes it all so exciting. Oh, and that Simply Learn article had some bold predictions.
Oh, yeah.
Some futurists believe that by 2030, cryptocurrencies could make up a big chunk of national currencies, like maybe even 25%. Might sound crazy now, but it just shows that potential for wider adoption.
25%, that would be huge.
Right. So even if that doesn't happen, it's pretty clear that cryptocurrency is a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, so key takeaways for our listeners.
Knowledge is power, seriously. The more you understand about crypto and blockchain, the better decisions you'll make, whether you're investing or just staying informed.
Education over speculation. Got it.
And don't be afraid to get some expert advice. If you're serious about investing, talk to a financial advisor who really understands cryptocurrency.
Solid advice. What else?
Always be prepared for volatility. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and don't forget to diversify.
Risk management and diversification. Check and check. Anything else?
Stay up to date on those regulations. They're always changing, so make sure you know the legal and tax stuff in your country.
Stay curious, informed, and cautious.
You got it.
This deep dive into cryptocurrency has been incredibly insightful. We've explored the good, the bad, and the potentially game-changing aspects of this whole thing. But I have a feeling you've got one final thought-provoking question for our listeners, right, eh?
You know me so well. So we've talked about how blockchain could revolutionize finance, supply chains, healthcare, even voting systems. But what if we think even bigger?
Okay, I'm all ears.
Imagine using blockchain to solve those really big challenges facing our world. Could this technology, with its focus on transparency and accountability, actually help fight poverty, promote better governments, or even verify the truth of information in this age of fake news?
Those are some big ideas. Love it. Okay, let's start with poverty. How could blockchain help?
So we're talking about using blockchain to fight poverty. Think about the challenges. People in poverty, especially in developing countries, it's hard to get financial services, aid isn't always transparent, and building a credit history is almost impossible.
Yeah, it keeps people stuck.
Exactly. But with blockchain, imagine easier access to small loans, even without banks.
Microloans, right.
Yeah, and systems that actually track aid money so it gets to those who need it. Blockchain can even help people create secure digital identities.
Opens up so many doors.
Right. Empowering people, building trust, leveling the playing field. That's how we can help people escape poverty for good.
I see that. What about governments? Can blockchain make them more trustworthy?
Imagine this. Government contracts, land records, public spending, all on a secure, unchangeable blockchain.
Transparency.
Exactly. Less corruption, more trust between citizens and their governments.
So it's about accountability, making sure governments are working for the people.
Yes. And that's crucial for strong democracies.
It's a powerful idea. Okay, last one. Fake news. It's everywhere. Can blockchain help us with that?
What if we could use blockchain to verify where information comes from? Every news article, every social media post, even research papers, all with a digital fingerprint that you can trace back to the source.
So we know what's real and what's fake.
It would make spreading lies so much harder. It's not a perfect fix, but it's a step towards a more trustworthy online world.
Amazing. These are incredible ideas. Bigger than just finance. This could really change society as we know it.
I think so. There will be challenges, of course, but a fairer, more transparent, and trustworthy world, that's worth fighting for.
I agree. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into cryptocurrency and blockchain, we leave you with this. Stay curious, keep exploring this tech, and think about how you can help shape a future where blockchain benefits everyone.
Don't be afraid to ask those what-if questions. That's how we make real change.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We'll see you next time as we continue to explore the world one deep dive at a time.